Welcome back to Dividend Obsession. My name is Troy. You guys are new here. Please subscribe to the channel. Once you've subscribed, comment down below and let me know I've subscribed, and I'll make sure I return a comment to each and every one of you, thanking you for your support. Today's video will be about creating a personal finance budget, one that you'll actually stick to and one that will help you meet and reach your financial goals. Now let's get to the content. All right, so step number one in creating a good personal finance budget is to calculate your monthly income. So you want to do this from your take-home pay. So this is the pay after taxes, insurance, and pre-tax deductions out of your paycheck, also known as the money that's actually deposited into your bank account. So you want to be accurate as possible, but you always would rather underestimate this money versus overestimating this money. That you would rather always do that with income. Another way you could do it is you can take about your last 5 to 10 paychecks, you add them all up, you divide by the number of paychecks that you're adding up, and then you get your average. Like I said, you can do that way. You can just look at your bank account and be like, oh, okay, I get about 2,600 here, 2,500 here. Always go with the low ball, and then just do it that way. All right, so step number two in creating a finance budget is going to be to track your expenses. So you can find apps that do this for you. There's ones like Mint, EveryDollar, and Pocket Guard. The key here is looking for apps that have an easy interface, so it's not complicated. Path of least resistance here, right? If it's too complicated, you're not going to use it. And then also ones that you can stick with. Or if you want to do the paper route, you can also use old receipts and then just write everything down. That's also an option. I know some people are really funny with their finances and think somebody's watching them. If you prefer that way, good old pen and paper works just as well. And what this step's going to do is it's going to help you find out if you spend more or less money than you think you do in certain areas. So it's good to, write down an initial budget like, oh, I spend however much on groceries and my credit card and whatever. But it is good to also track these things because you might be spending more than you think you are. So you also want to make sure you're considering the expenses that don't happen on a monthly basis. So this could be things like vet trips for the animals or even a vacation. That doesn't happen often. And what you can do here is you can write in, hey, I normally spend $100 every 2 months taking my dog to the vet. If it's every other month, then you can just divide that and kind of write it in as a monthly bill. 1 month you won't spend that money, and then the next month you'll spend twice that much. So you can kind of just balance it out that way. That's what I do. And then in this step, like in last step, I told you want to underestimate income. In here, you would always rather overestimate expenses. Again, try to be accurate if you can, but also realize that hey, maybe your phone bill is $65. It's not a bad idea to say, hey, let's put $70. That's within a reasonable amount or a reasonable distance from the actual bill, but it also accounts for maybe $1 or $2 fluctuation. That's what I also do is I will overestimate expenses, underestimate income. That way, if you have a really good paycheck one time or a bill that's maybe a little bit less than you were expecting, that's even better. That's extra money you're going to have versus the other way around when you actually have a bill that's higher than you expected and income that's lower than you expected. That's a recipe for disaster. So that is step two, tracking your expenses. All right, so in step three, what we want to do here is consider your financial goals. And what we have here is non-avoidable expenses that are more concrete, like your rent, your food, your bills. That's one thing. But keeping an eye on the non-essentials is what's key here. So common culprits include things like food, takeout, and delivery, and online shopping. They tend to creep up on you and can be a key reason that you're not saving any money. Think about your financial priorities and goals, as well as hobbies, and allocate your money accordingly. You don't want your budget to feel like a prison sentence, as it won't help you stick to it. So while it is important to remain locked in on a budget to help you achieve the goals that you set for yourself and your family, it's also important to budget some money in there for some hobbies and date nights and things like that, because at the end of the day, focusing super hard on a budget and having no budget for fun it makes you very unlikely to stick to the budget. So it's key to budget these things in as well. So that is step number three, considering your financial goals. All right, so step number 4 in creating your own budget is going to be to actually design your budget. So we're going to take all the information we have from the previous steps and put it in here. And this is where we actually, put pen to paper and write this thing out. So after we write down our non-avoidable expenses, it is important to also remember to pay yourself first. So we want to write out a savings goal as a bill. So you want to keep this realistic, but also challenge yourself a little bit. Like, hey, maybe I want to save $100 a month. And what we do here is we go through, we write this whole budget out, including our savings goal in there, and then we run it through. Maybe it's like, hey, you're going to have $400 extra at the end of the month. Run your budget. Check to see if you have that $400 at the end of the month, and then obviously you can save that or use half of it to enjoy yourself, and then maybe save half of that again. So now you're up to $300, and then you can tweak the budget as you go, and that will increase your savings even further. So I did use a quote from Warren Buffett in one of my previous videos, but I think it really, really applies in this video as well. And that quote is to spend what is left over after saving, not to save what is left over after you spend. So that's another way to say pay yourself first. If you're already in a good financial place, you want to be honest with yourself, then you might be able to just tweak some of the things that you're spending on to make it more in line with your current financial goals. And if you're watching this because you need to overhaul how you think about money and how you spend your money, it'll be best to build your budget from the bottom up, like from the base. We got to rethink the whole thing because clearly what we're doing right now is not working. So let's work on getting this thing right. One strategy we can use here is the 50-30-20 rule. And this is where 50% of your income goes towards needs, 30% of your income goes towards your wants, and 20% of your income goes towards your savings. This can be a good starting point if you are one of the people that I was mentioning that needs a lot of help with their money and their relationship with it. You can use this as a good rule. And another simple rule that most people should understand, but if not, that's what I'm here for, is to make sure that you are spending less than you make. Clearly, if you're operating at a negative, just think of it like a business. A business is constantly operating in debt. They're not making any money, or they're not making enough money, they're going to eventually go under. Same as for people. You want to make sure you're staying out of debt. You're not taking loans because you're making not enough to support your habits. It's all about changing your lifestyle a little bit, living below your means. That'll help you save money. That'll help you invest money. That'll help you retire early, or retire in general. So that's a very, very important step. And this is all for step number 4, which is designing your budget. So the 5th and final step in creating your own budget is to track your spending and then refine the budget. So this is a constant process, what we're going to do here. And we have to continue to track these expenses and make sure you stick to it. So you didn't spend all this time, 1, watching this video, and 2, writing down all this stuff and doing all this research to just throw it away or not follow it in 2 months. So you want to make sure you're writing a budget and you can actually stick to it. And then what you want to do is you want to revisit every 6 to 12 months to make any adjustments based on your habits or goals changing, or increases or decreases in your bills. So you could pay off your student loans, and that was a part of a bill that you wrote in that you no longer have, or cutting the cord on cable, whatever it may be. Any of those things can be bills that you did have that you don't have. For me, I paid off my car. That was $350 a month that I now don't spend, which, I put right into savings because I'm hyper focused on getting to my goal of retiring early. So that is step number 5, tracking your spending, continuing to track your spending, and refining the budget as needed. All right, so what I did here is I put an example budget. This is actually somewhat close to what my budget is. I put that on the screen right now for you. And what we're going to see here is we have an income of $2,600 a month. This is from a day job where the first pay and second pay are even at $1,300. This is what goes into this person's account. And then we're going to write out the bills and the expenses. So you have your rent and your mortgage at $694, car insurance $87, credit cards $240, the gym, your streaming service, your phone, dog, food and medicine or whatever they need. And this person goes to the gym. Obviously, the gym's in there. And that's supplements, $50 a month. This is an example. I wanted to put this in there. Personally, I don't spend $50 a month. I might spend $100 one month and then no dollars the next month. This is what I mean of those non-monthly expenses. And what I did is I'm like, okay, every 2 months I spend $100. I divided it. I account for spending $50 a month. just to, have it on there, make sure I'm accountable with that. So far right column, we have the outcome of this. You have your incoming of $2,600 a month. You have your outgoing money of $1,229 a month. And this is a net of $1,371 a month. That is bonus. I wanted to give you guys this budget example, just as a good visual to what we were just talking about. So with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Drop a like on the video if you found any info we talked about today helpful. It helps the channel, and it helps me know that you guys are, vibing with what I'm putting out there. So also subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below, not only if you subscribe, but if you have a written budget that you follow. Let me know down in the comments. I'm curious how many of my viewers and subscribers have written budgets that they follow. And also, if you have any suggestions for future videos, write those down in the comments too. No promises that I'm going to get to them, but I do read every comment, read and respond to every comment. So I at least see them. And if it's something that strays a little too far away from what the channel's goal is, I'll let you know, like, hey, this is a good idea. There might be other videos on YouTube for that. And then if it's something that aligns with the channel, or something that I haven't covered already, I'm more than willing to, do the research on that and give you guys some content on there. So, until next time, we'll see you.